Hi guys! Today I'm going to teach you how to paint monstrous skin on a gargoyle. Monstrous skin usually is of some exotic and more or less sickly color, a weird hue, and this one is going to be pinkish gray with bits of blue and green in, and motley really, but you'll see what I mean. This is the skin of the gargoyle I've been working on. Lovely gargoyle from Legacy, an original Rackham sculpt. I'm going to use a mix of Bastion Grey from Privateer Press and Underbelly Blue from Privateer Press as well. Here, this one. Let me show you. You can see the tone perfectly, but yeah. And this is going to be some sort of a base coat. I'll do it on the tail here. If you think there's a mold line on this miniature, think again. It's a voluntary fissure in that lovely stone and marble that's continuing on the stone skin of the gargoyle. I'm using a number 0 brush from Raphael, but you can just as well use pretty much any number 0 or number 1 brush out there. This is a base coat, so as with all my base coat, there's a little bit of water in it. It's a bit washy, so to speak, if you allow me this neologism. This gargoyle's skin is coming from the stone and it has cracked here and there. It's really interesting to paint. I'll show you how to do that gradient later. Here, I'll paint that arm. These little claws, they deserve to be painted as well, but it's really precise work. As the skin enters the stone, you see that I'm washing away, upon the stony surface. Doesn't matter precisely because it's a wash, and because my paint is a bit dilute. It doesn't. It's a bit transparent, so you end up with a gradient rather than a proper delineation in many places, which is fine, which is what we want. I'll do the underside of that wing. Well, continuing with the arm as well, but you know what I mean. I'm just washing away here with this mix of mine. The wing has texture. It's a little grainy, so I'm taking a little more paint because it's absorbed, it's very porous. The wing has an extremely good texture, actually. That is really interesting how they managed to capture all the little details of the sculpt, the original sculpt from Rackham, with this new resin cast from Legacy. It's really nice. Although it is expensive, I think for the collector it's well worth its price. Only for the collector and the painter, of course. It holds absolutely no interest whatsoever to gamers, unless they're also painters. Here, don't you love all these little details on the head of the gargoyle? I'll show them to you. See how gargoyle-ish it is. This little grimace here. This horrible face, and this is really inspired by, of course, gargoyles from cathedrals, except it's not a gargoyle, actually. It's a grotesque. Gargoyles have pipes, you know, going from their mouth. Anyway, grotesques are just ornaments, basically. This is more of an animated feature of a cathedral, so to speak. I think this is for the Acheron faction in the game, in the now defunct game of Cadwallon and Confrontation 3. I think they did it also for Confrontation 4, Age of Ragnarok, but there was such a terrible game, and with such bad pre-painted miniatures that, well, didn't really have much success. Perhaps because the fans felt betrayed, and Rackham died soon after. Well, a few years later, the company up and went over the hill. Let that be a lesson to all of those who do crappy games and terrible miniatures the world over. There aren't that many, but they know who they are. We will name no names. Oh, if only it were that simple. Now I'm pretty much done with base coating the skin of our gargoyle. It's weird stone skin. Pretty much done. There's still a bit here that I missed. And there, well, yeah, and here perhaps. No. Now we're going to shade the skin of the gargoyle once with a mix of Bastion Grey and Coal Black from Privateer Press. There, that's my mix that I'm going to use. You see, it's a little greenish, a little bluish. It reminds us of that marble column that I did in another tutorial. The base coat still hasn't dried, but no matter. Well, at least it doesn't matter too much, as I'm trying to paint it a little fresh here under the wing. It's good that it's still a bit fresh. It allows me to render a few nuances here and there. Here under the wing of the gargoyle, it's a bit darker than the rest, so shading is in order. Here as well, it should be a bit shaded. Let's see, this here underneath these muscles, this should be shaded as well as underneath this thigh. Shading in coal black also allows us to harmonize with that bit of the mini that is getting out of that column, you know, that is melding with it, or melding out of it perhaps. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's just passing through actually. Here underneath its chest we'll do a wash so that it goes in directly into the creases. Here and underneath the neck as well a bit. Underneath this arm perhaps, as it seems likely that it's of the same material as the stone. There, let's underneath the wing here. Let's have it a little more, with a little more coal black. This is a simple wash, by the way. Not simple. It's not exactly simple, considering that it's. I don't want it to go too much into the creases. I want it to tint my miniature. But this is a wash, or rather perhaps a more of a glaze. Here I'm going to have that here. There. tail, pretty much the same game. Add a bit more coal black to the mix. Just a tinge, really. Here, between the shoulders, perhaps just a little. And I'll add, I'll do a wash of pure coal black here and here to accentuate the darkness a little more in here, basically. Should do it. And perhaps here to meld it with the stone even more. And here in the dark areas. Not everywhere, I mean just where it's darkest and where it's supposed to meld with stone. You can see here how this here melds quite beautifully here with the marble. Well, quite beautifully. It sounds a little pompous, but yes, I do take pleasure in what I do, actually. Now, you may notice that I haven't touched yet the top of the wings. That's perfectly normal. It's because we are going to do another type of shading, a shading of this lovely color, the beaten purple, that is also hexed lichen in the Vallejo range, that is also the leash purple in the Games Workshop range, and that is beaten purple in the Privateer Press range. I'm going to shade now my stone with a mix of that and the Bastion Grey. Shade the Gargoyle Skin with that because it's beautiful, because I like it, and because it reminds me and the soul of these little stripes, these little veins in the other type of marble of the column. So that's a bit too much paint here on my brush, so I'll do a little more of a wash here, and I'll do that here. Wash this part of the wing with that. It's a mix of grey and purple, and it's very beautiful. Incidentally, this is the complementary color for the green, which means this will have a striking result, a striking contrast of hue with this, with the rest of the mini. Don't be afraid when painting monstrous skin. That's the purpose of this tutorial. Don't be afraid to contrast. Don't be afraid to do extravagant colors. This is a monster you're painting. This is unnatural. I'm painting this in somehow organic, very organic colors, but also the colors of marble and the stones I've just painted in such lovely hues. I'll do a little here, a bit of the pink wash. Well, pink, it's grey and and purple wash here on the face, on the nose, because I like the idea that the gargoyle's nose is actually a bit pinkish, as well as its lip. And that the gargoyle has somehow pink veins in its neck, akin to the pink veins of the marble that I did earlier. There, you can see. I'm going for pink on the bottom of the wings here as well. Well, pink, the purple mix, I mean. Put it here. Here it wouldn't serve us very well because it clashes with the rest of the column, but here I'll do a little pink shading here. This is all part of the shading, by the way. We're working in thin coats. I think here we'll have some pink as well on its flanks. Some purple here. Well, maybe I put a little too much on the arm, but here, maybe in the crease of the elbow, here on its ribs. This is where it will mix beautifully with the blue, the coal black I've used earlier. This is monstrous skin is where you can really shine as a painter, because it's organic, it's beautiful, and it's something you can do pretty much any sort of gradient with. Here, I like the idea that his blood is purple because he has purple veins, so his or hers, actually, I don't know. And so his knees are a little scratched and red, well, reddened with blood, and so I'm washing his knees with a little purple. See? There. Slightly, only slightly. And we'll have a little purple here, just in the creases, on the side of its tail, just to contrast with the green a little, where it actually doesn't meld. Well, the creature doesn't actually meld into the stone, but doesn't meld into the green stone, so it needs a little purple, so that we can really differentiate the two and to show the contrast, really. To enhance it, rather. Here, shading this. This here actually melts a little with the column, so I'll leave it maybe a little grey, a little blue. With this and this hand as well, I think I'll shade it with that greyish purple as well. a little more, perhaps. There. Now I'm going to shade again with a very thin wash, but of pure beaten purple. And yes, I'll do it here, perhaps. Just to enhance the purple even more.